Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. Liverpool had just beaten Southampton at St Mary's by 2-0 in what was a very professional, very well-managed performance from us. You know, it felt like one of those games that could have quite easily got away from us in the second half. Southampton were having a lot of pressure in the first half, and obviously, as they all say, 2-0 is one of the most dangerous leads you can possibly have, especially when you're Liverpool, because we've seen countless times that our game management has let us down. You know, this season, last season, it's been a problem for years for this club, really, and it was fantastic to see us just close out the result with minimal fuss at any point in the game, because that's the kind of thing that Liverpool really need to be doing at this end of the season. You know, if we want to be cementing our place in the top four rather than just doing what we were doing at the end of last season when we were really scrapping for it, we were fighting for every single point. We had quite a few jammy results, I think, at the back end of last season to help us get into the Champions League spaces. Hopefully what Liverpool can do this time round is just make it, you know, not a stroll. Of course it's going to be difficult, but make it a little bit more assured and look less like we're just flying by the seat of our pants by the end of the season. And yeah, this was the kind of performance that we just need to be delivering week in, week out from here on in. It was very lovely and convincing, and with the goals, you know, the players just showed up when it mattered, really. We've got world-class players on the pitch in Roberto, Firmino and Mo Salah, and when they needed to deliver, when they were in front of goal and they had the opportunity to win the game for Liverpool, they absolutely delivered, and we came away with 3 points. And yeah, just something that we can all really be pretty happy with. I think the only thing that I'd be a little bit disappointed with was the amount of pressure that we did invite on in the first half. I think compared to how we dealt with Southampton having the ball in the second half, we didn't really deal with it very well in the first half. You know, they were threatening a little bit too much. They did have a few pops at our goal and everything like that, but Loris Karius stood very nice and firm in those situations. I think another very nice and assured performance from him after what was probably the best performance of his Liverpool career so far against Spurs. He was very unlucky to get a clean sheet in that game. Obviously he gets a lovely clean sheet in this one and made some pretty good saves. Like I said, Southampton had a few too many chances for our liking in the first half. You know, when it was still 1-0, they looked like they were really starting to creep back into the game and maybe even take control of the match a little bit, but every time they got chances near our goal, Loris Karius just made things actually look quite easy. You know, the amount of shots that just looked like fairly simple saves, when if he hadn't maybe come off his line as quickly or come to collect the ball as assuredly, things could have got a lot messier than they did. So yeah, very nice, assured performance from Loris Karius, and I think that partially, you know, it kind of helped because the confidence of the defenders and the goalkeeper just kind of fed into each other and created this vicious circle where the players were just becoming more and more assured, and by the end of the game they were just a well-oiled machine at the back in terms of just preventing Southampton from mounting up any pressure on us at all. And like I was saying, with the defence as well, Virgil van Dijk just kept everything very nice and composed throughout the whole game. A lot of people on Twitter saying that, you know, he dealt with being booed so well. He could have come into that game and just crumbled with the way that the fans jumped on his back. I mean, I don't think he has a hugely special relationship with the Southampton fans, especially what with the way that he left the club. It was all very acrimonious, so there's no real bond there between him and the fans, so I don't think it would have upset him to be booed. But, you know, it can, I suppose, maybe take a little bit of a toll on the player's mind, and obviously his first game back at St Mary's after such a big money move might play on his mind a little bit, but Virgil van Dijk, having absolutely none of that, just played so well. You know, it was the proper Rolls-Royce defender performance that we've been hoping for from Virgil van Dijk since he signed. You know, he's been doing it quite a lot since he arrived, but there are occasionally momentary lapses. Obviously, that's to be expected with him trying to gel into a new side and a new system under a new manager, and obviously playing for a big club like Liverpool. No disrespect to Southampton, it is a very different kettle of fish from being a centre-back for them, but Virgil van Dijk really looks like he's hitting his stride now, really settling in. You know, I've seen a lot of people saying that he's been performing well, but it still doesn't feel like he's in his best form, and now it's starting to feel after that game like Virgil van Dijk is really starting to hit the kind of form that Liverpool paid 75 million for. And, you know, in terms of game management, these are the kind of games that we bought Virgil van Dijk for. You know, it's great having him in the games against the big six and stuff like that, but it's these games when we build up that early lead and we're just trying to close it out sensibly, where Liverpool have mucked up so many times in the past. You know, you only have to look back to St Mary's 2 seasons ago when we were also 2-0 up in the first half, and I think we brought on Skirtle for Sacco or something like that, and things just went absolutely south from there. We conceded 2 penalties. I think we ended up losing 3-2 2. It was an absolute mess of a game, and it was really lovely, 2 years on, in a bit of a similar scenario where Southampton could quite easily have, if they'd got one goal, the game could have completely gone south. It could have turned on its edge. Things could have been a lot more tense, I think, if Southampton had managed to bag a goal in that second half. But Virgil van Dijk just keeps everything calm, It rubs off on the goalie as well. We've seen in the past that he does shout Loris Karius about a bit and tell him when to come out and stuff like that. At first, it seemed to faze Karius, not anymore. He seems to have really kind of grown into that role of having Virgil van Dijk as kind of a captain at the back for Liverpool, and it's just really, really rubbing off on the other players. Robertson has been absolutely fantastic. It's probably no coincidence that his performances have picked up since Virgil van Dijk arrived, because obviously they play on the same side of defence, and it probably really helps having such a high quality player at centre-back. It just frees Robertson up to maybe take a few more risks and not have to play within himself at times to avoid leaving too much space open at the back or something like that. Joel Matip, I felt had a very iffy first half. I think his performance was one of the reasons that Southampton did get back into the game a little bit, because he just looked a little bit unsure on the ball at times, trying to play passes forward. There was one moment when he just completely sliced a pass out for a throw-in, and you're starting to think, is this really not Joel Matip's day? Should we just sub him off quietly and bring on Dejan Lovren or something just to kind of calm things down and everything like that? But again, like the rest of the team, just really grew into the second half and really hit his stride, and that was just the whole team did that really. Anyone who didn't show up for that first half absolutely showed up for the second half, and it really helped. And then Alexander-Arnold didn't have a great game, if I'm honest, didn't really get forward as much as he likes to. I think some of that is because, Southampton did a lot more attacking than the usual teams do when we play against a team that are in like 19th in the table or something like that. But still had an okay game, got caught out a few times at right back in defensive positions. Personally, I'd quite like to see him in centre mid. I know it sounds a bit out there, but I am pretty sure that's where he played earlier on in his career, and I just don't think he's got all the attributes to play right back long term. Obviously, he's 18 years old. He is going to improve so much more. He could completely switch up his game and just learn those attributes. It's difficult to say now because it is so early on in his Liverpool career, but I think it's possible that it might be a nice idea to just switch him into a midfield role at times and see whether he does any better there, because Liverpool played Steven Gerrard at right back at the start of his Liverpool career quite a lot, and everyone was like, yeah, he's doing okay, and then he moved into the box-to-box midfield role and he was an absolute world beater. So yeah, a very decent defensive performance. Like I said, just kind of looked a little bit shaky in the first half, but I think players like Van Dijk and Loris Karius just seemed to calm things down. The players seemed to be lifted by the fact they had a goalie behind them who could actually stop the ball going in the net. It was weird for me as a Liverpool fan watching it when Southampton did have a few chances on goal to see our goalie just save it like it was the easiest thing in the world, rather than make a complete hash of it, flap at things, and generally just scare the living daylights out of Liverpool players and Liverpool fans. So I think, that really, really helped. And then the midfield, I thought played reasonably well. I think definitely another kind of part of the pitch that really improved in the second half, because obviously a lot of the game was won and lost in midfield, and I think the fact that they weren't really gaining a foothold in the game in the first half did mean that Southampton were getting a little bit too close to our goal for our liking, and they stepped their performances up in the second half. I thought Gini Wijnaldum actually really good all the way through. For someone who really doesn't tend to show up in these kind of games, especially away from home, Gini Wijnaldum really impressed with how assured he was on the ball. Was pretty impressive going forward. Didn't really create anything, but just kind of marauded forward, and I think it kind of took a lot of pressure off the defenders as well when Wijnaldum would get forward and just get the ball out of their area of the pitch. Emre Can was kind of a little bit sloppy, looked a little bit off the pace at times, made quite a few silly challenges and stuff like that, was a bit late with a few slide tackles, but another one that just grew into the game by the end of the game. Oxlade-Chamberlain, fine, was only really on for an hour, didn't have too much time to influence the game, and then the attack was just very good. I would have liked a little bit more clinical stuff from them. They had quite a few opportunities. In the first half, if we're going to invite on that much Southampton pressure, I was thinking surely we can be putting a few more opportunities away on the counter-attack. Like, when we played Bournemouth earlier on in the season, we won that game 4-0. And it was kind of similar to this game in that we did get a lot of opportunities on the counter-attack and stuff like that. I thought Sadio Mane, it's just gutted that he's not getting enough goals. He had a few opportunities. It looked like he was absolutely desperate to score in this game. Every time he got close to the box, he was trying to work a shot, and it's just not working for him at the moment, and I'm crossing my fingers that it will start working at some point. It'd be a great time to get his act together in the game against Porto in midweek, an absolutely massive tie there, a perfect time for Sadio Mane to get back on the big stage and show us what he's all about. And then Firmino and Salah, I mean, just absolute world beaters, aren't they? Absolute world beaters. They were just fantastic when it counts. As I said earlier on in the video, you know, when the moment came and Liverpool needed to score the goals to win the game, Firmino and Salah were there when they were needed, and they just tucked the goals away. You know, the first goal, I think it's absolutely fantastic pass from Mo Salah. Very good play to kind of, I wouldn't say predict the error from Wesley Hoot, and that is pretty much what creates the goal. You know, Wesley Hoot just turned up to the match about 10 minutes late today. He had some similar error before that goal where he just forgot where his legs were. He did it again there. Mo Salah just, you know, in the right place at the right time. You need to be there just in case those kind of mistakes are made by centre-backs. Mo Salah finds himself through. It's a lovely little popped pass with the outside of his left boot to Roberto Firmino. Manages to just play it perfectly, which, you know, it feels kind of understated, but in the moment with the players around him and the speed that he's moving, to get enough power on the ball and just flick it towards Roberto Firmino is still pretty impressive. And then a lovely finish from Bobby Firmino, you know, on his weaker foot as well, just slots it bottom corner against the keeper's momentum, so he actually has absolutely no chance whatsoever of saving it, and he is just looking more and more like the number 9 that Liverpool need. You know, I think it helps that Mo Salah's kind of taken the scoring pressure off him. Last season he was our central attacker. He was expected to score more goals than any other player in the team, and, you know, Sadio Mane kind of took the pressure off him to an extent. But this season, I think just having Mo Salah to his right-hand side has really freed him up and helped him to express himself a little more, show us what he's really about, and just score more goals. And obviously, like I say, that finish where he just slots it with his weaker foot against the keeper's momentum is the real mark of a proper striker and someone who knows how to finish off chances intelligently. So yeah, really good goal, you know, very helpful goal as well, because with the pressure that Southampton put on us in the first half, if we hadn't gone 1-0 up, we might have lost our heads a little bit more and things could have gone very, very differently. And then obviously the second goal, just mind-blowing football from another planet, even though it is for only 5 or 10 seconds or something like that. Lovely little pop pass from Mo Salah again to play it through to Firmino, and then the back heel is just out of this world. It's ridiculous, you know, the vision, the audacity, the ability, the technique to just pull that off in that kind of situation. And it's not just any pass, it's the perfect through ball as well. It's played in the right space with the right amount of weight to just send Mo Salah through on goal. And, you know, Mo Salah does what Mo Salah does. He's ended up becoming a little bit like Luis Suarez was in the 13-14 season, you know, just having a player who turns up to pretty much every single game without fail. You know, Liverpool have had so many players in the past who've got so much potential. They're just so good. You can see that they can be world-class players, but they just don't do it on a regular basis to the point when you can actually say he is world-class, he is fantastic. Luis Suarez ended up doing it towards the latter stage of his Liverpool career when he just showed up to every single game, and Mo Salah is doing it already when he's only been here for like 6 or 7 months or something like that. So yeah, absolute world beater Mo Salah is, absolute world beater Roberto Firmino is, and like I say, showing up when it counts, which is exactly what you need in these kind of games when we just need to keep on racking up the 3 points in the fight for the top 4. So that is all for today's video. Thank you guys very, very much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, why not give it a like? If you're new around here as well, hit that subscribe button. Check out some of the other videos that have been out on the channel over the past few days as well. Don't forget to follow at LFC Focus TV on Twitter, and I'll be back probably tomorrow or the day after for the pre-match content for the massive, massive Champions League tie against Porto. Bye for now.